Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Para sa pagbabago, awa na ang bayan ko sa magnanakaw na tao. Madilim na kahapon, ikaw ang mataahon. Sa piling mo, di ko mawawala ang korupsyon. Tayo na, Pilipinas.
Please remain standing
Tayo na.
for the invocation to be led by the Command Chaplain, Commander Jude Tadeus M. Bisinga, Philippine Coast Guard.
May I request everyone, those covered, to uncover, to recognize the presence of the divine. Let us pray. We praise and thank you, dear God, our most important guest on this occasion, knowing that when you are aboard, all that we do are blessed. Thank you too, the Almighty One, for being with your PCG for the past 115 years, marked today by the commissioning of MRRV Tubataha 4401. Yes, those rough seas we dared and challenges conquered, dear God, are our living testimonies of your unparalleled providence in the PCG. We are most grateful to you, the great architect, for giving us today as our keynote speaker, the President of the Philippines, Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Be with him always in all that he does and in all that he had started. Bless his selfless dreams and noble hopes. Keep him under your care. Likewise, I pray for all of us in the national government agencies, the local government units, and every institution in business and civil society to find it seriously important to take into account our President's priority directions and strategies as truly necessary, including the war on drugs and the eradication of poverty. Give us all the docility of heart to support and follow our President's lead for national development, defined by love of country and people, subordination of personal interest to the common good, concern and care for the helpless and the marginalized. Finally, be with us all, Almighty One, in our united efforts to restore faith and trust in the government. All this we ask of you in your most holy name, through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. We may now put back our caps.
Thank you. Please be seated. To give his welcome remarks, ladies and gentlemen, the Commandant of the Philippine Coast Guard, Rear Admiral William M. Mellon.
President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, Ambassador Kazuhito Ishikawa, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you for taking time to join us on this very special occasion. Today, our joy is twofold. We celebrate the Philippine Coast Guard's 115th anniversary and witness the commissioning of the newest member of our fleet, BRP Tubataha. In 1901, the Bureau of Coast Guard and Transportation was established by virtue of Philippine Commission Act 266. From a humble lighthouse service 115 years ago, the Philippine Coast Guard has transformed into a multifaceted, multi-role agency that it is today. The commissioning of the multi-role vessel BRP Tubataha exemplifies the continuous transformation of our organization. We in the Coast Guard are truly thankful and excited for all these developments. From here, I could see the excitement of the crew of BRP Tubataha aboard and man the rails as soon as we hear the words, set the watch. I find it quite fitting to name our first brand new multi-role response vessel after the lighthouse in the country's protected marine sanctuary of Palawan. Because just as Tubata Reef is instrumental in the preservation of marine life, so will BRP Tubataha as soon as it embarks on her marine environmental protection, maritime safety, and maritime law enforcement missions. The reef's nurturing nature also characterizes BRP Tubataha's humanitarian, rescue, and relief missions. And just as the Tubataha Reef braves the various natural and man-made threats, so will the Philippine Coast Guard's newly commissioned vessel addresses maritime threats to security and safety once it begins patrolling the Philippine waters. With the commissioning of BRP Tubataha, we take a step forward to better guarding our territorial waters against intruders, poachers, drugs and human traffickers, terrorists, and other lawless elements. The Philippine Coast Guard has also stepped up its intelligence operations, inspections on and offshore, and maritime law enforcement in support of the President's anti-drug campaign. The combined efforts of the Philippine National Police, the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, and the Philippine Coast Guard scored a success when they intercepted a floating Shabu laboratory of Subic last July. And just in the last 3 months, our heightened operations against illegal drugs resulted in the apprehensions of passengers carrying Shabu in the terminal and a dozen other drug pushers. With a state of national emergency on the account of lawless violence in place, the Philippine Coast Guard has enhanced coastal patrols and has kept a keen eye for individuals and groups who wish to sow terror and fear among citizens. Our hearts go out to the victims of the recent Davao City blast, and we issue our commitment to help prevent a repeat of the tragic event, however much effort and sacrifice it will require from us. The President can count on the Philippine Coast Guard's full and solid support in its administration's goal of eradicating crime and drugs in the country. The President's will to hit its target has sparked inspiration, renewed hopes, and vigor among our ranks to get the job done as soon as possible time. With such motivation, with the ongoing efforts to modernize the Philippine Coast Guard, and with the BRP Tubataha commissioned and on duty, the Philippine Coast Guard is ready and more confident to face the new maritime challenges that another year of service will bring. Thank you and welcome to the PCG's 115th anniversary.
Thank you, sir. We will now proceed to the commissioning of MRRV 4401 Tubataha. For the information of everyone, MRRV Tubataha is a 44-meter multi-role vessel built in Japan and arrived last August 17. She is the first of the 10 multi-role vessels that will join the Coast Guard fleet. The second vessel, named after Light Station Malabrigo in Lobo, Batangas, will be arriving in December. The Commandant, Philippine Coast Guard, will now direct the Commanding Officer, MRRB 4401, to account his troop and to prepare the ship for commissioning.
Captain Echeverria, report.
Sir, all present and accounted for.
Very well. Prepare the ship for commissioning.
Commissioning of a vessel is a tradition which grants the vessel the identity to belong to a service. As a Philippine Coast Guard commissioned vessel, she will be authorized to perform its mandated mission: to fly the national ensign, jack flag, and the commission pennant. The commission pennant symbolizes the moment when the life of the ship begins.
Sir, the ship is now ready to be commissioned in the service of the Philippine Coast Guard.
Very well.
The Commandant Philippine Coast Guard will now render a report to the President of the Republic of the Philippines.
Mr. President, the ship is now ready to be commissioned in the service of the Philippine Coast Guard.
The President will now preside the commissioning of MRRB 4401 to Bataha.
The proclamation. By virtue of the powers vested in me as President of the Republic of the Philippines, I hereby commission barko ng Republika ng Pilipinas to Bataha in the service of the Philippine Coast Guard effective this date.
Thank you, sir. May we request everyone to please rise and face BRP to Bataha for the national anthem.
Bayang magiliw, pero sa silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyang ka ng magiting, sa manlulupi, di ka pasisiin. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mo baghang, may dilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidinig, ang bituin at araw niyang kailan, pag mali magdidinig. Lupa ng araw ng hatid pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang di kaya na pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Thank you. Thank you. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, barko ng Republika ng Pilipinas to Bataha is now officially commissioned in the service of the Philippine Coast Guard. At this juncture, Lieutenant Commander Lisel Bautista, the Coast Guard Adjutant, will read the designation orders.
Philippine Coast Guard, Headquarters Philippine Coast Guard, 139 25th Street, Port Area 1018, Manila. Pursuant to Headquarters Philippine Coast Guard, General Orders Number 263 dated 12 October 2016, Section 2, Designation, Captain Roy A. Echeverria, O-11312 Philippine Coast Guard, designated as Commanding Officer, MRRV 4401, Barko ng Republika ng Pilipinas to Bataha, effective this date, by command of Rear Admiral Melad, Official, Commodore Atelo L. Ibanez, PCG, Acting Chief of Coast Guard Staff, Lieutenant Commander Lisel B. Bautista, PCG, Coast Guard Adjutant.
The Commanding Officer, Captain Roy Chabiria, will now read his assumption orders.
Pursuant to Section 2, General Orders Number 263, Headquarters Philippine Coast Guard, I hereby assume all duties and responsibilities as Commanding Officer, MRRV 4401, barko ng Republika ng Pilipinas to Bataha, effective this date, and I sign in your presence.
Captain Echeverria will now report his assumption of duties and responsibilities to the Commandant, who will then order the manning of the ship and setting the first watch.
Set the first watch and start the ship's log. Move!
At this instance, the officers and crew proceed to the ship on the double, rendered standard boarding courtesy, and man the rail. The first two personnel to board will automatically act as duty petty officer of the watch and gangway watch. The commanding officer of the ship shall be accorded his first honor aboard his vessel. As a commanding officer, he has assumed the identity of Lighthouse to Bataha. His arrival is dignified by the announcement over the ship's public address system of the word to Bataha aboard, as well as piping by the duty petty officer as he embarks and disembarks his ship. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, the ship is manned and ready. Barko ng Republika ng Pilipinas to Bataha is now ready to sail and perform Coast Guard missions and fulfill Coast Guard mandate. The addition of the ship in the PCG's inventory will boost the Coast Guard modest capability and strengthen our relentless campaign in maritime safety, marine environmental protection, and maritime security. Likewise, the ship will be deployed to support the anti-illegal drugs campaign of the President. Will go after piracy, smuggling, illegal fishing, and other forms of lawlessness in our country's vast sovereign waters. Muli po, palakpakan natin ang barko ng Republika ng Pilipinas to Bataha. At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, may we request Japan Ambassador to the Philippines, Kazuhide Ichikawa, to say a few words.
President Rodrigo Duterte, Commandant William Miller, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure and honor to join this auspicious ceremony and to extend my heartfelt congratulations on the turnover and commissioning of BLP to Bataha. To Bataha is the first of 10 multi-role response vessels financed and built by Japan for the Maritime and Safety Capability Improvement Project for the Philippine Coast Guard. This project aims to improve the PCG's capabilities to quickly address maritime operations such as patrol, search and rescue, and law enforcement. As demonstrated by this Bataha vessel, we see so many significant developments in our relations. In the summit meeting between President Duterte and Prime Minister Abe, held on September 6 in Vientiane, Laos, the two leaders had wonderful discussion on a wide range of issues, including the importance of the rule of law. They also confirmed that they will strengthen the cooperation to resolve disputes in a peaceful manner based on international law. In addition, at the summit meeting, Prime Minister Abe announced his intention to provide a new yen loan for the construction of 2 larger patrol ships. This year, we are celebrating the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the Philippines and Japan. Last January, as you recall, Their Majesties Emperor and Empress visited the Philippines as state guests. This visit surely elevated our strong friendship to a much higher level. Later this month, President Duterte is scheduled to visit Japan. On this occasion, two leaders will further discuss ways to enhance friendship, ranging from peace and security, fight against terrorism, economic cooperation such as infrastructure development, and people-to-people exchanges. I boarded the Tubataha last month, and I'm convinced that the Tubataha is a great symbol of friendship between Japan and the Philippines. I would like to conclude my remarks by saying that we will work together with the government of the Philippines to further deepen our strong relations. Thank you very much, and mabuhay.
Thank you, Ambassador. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed to the presentation of awards.
As traditionally done, the PCG had evaluated and determined the performance of its personnel and operating units that produced the best for the year to be recognized during its annual anniversary celebration. In addition, partner agencies are recognized for their unwavering and valuable services rendered to the PCG. We also pay tribute to the fishermen and ship owners who lent their helping hand rescuing people in distress. At this juncture, may we request President Duterte to present the awards. And the Commandant, Philippine Coast Guard, Rear Admiral William M. Melad, PCG, to assist the President.
Presentation of awards. Department of Transportation, Punong Himpilan, Tanod Baybayin ng Pilipinas, 139 23 Street, Port Area, Manila. Pursuant to General Orders Number 34, the award of the Outstanding Achievement Medal is hereby awarded to Commodore Danilo Ubaldo, PCG, Commander of the Coast Guard Internal Affairs Service, for being a staunch guardian of discipline and for initiating the formulation of the PCG Code of Conduct and Discipline. May we also request Mrs. Ubaldo to join in the presentation of award, ma'am.
For having been adjudged as the Philippine Coast Guard Non-Officer of the Year, the plaque of recognition is hereby given to Petty Officer First Class Manuel Z. Boado Jr., Philippine Coast Guard of the Coast Guard District Northeastern Luzon. Petty Officer First Class Boado will receive an incentive equivalent to his 1-month base pay.
Civilian ba? For having been adjudged as the non-uniformed personnel of the year, the plaque of recognition is presented to Mrs. Mila B. Gorizeta of Coast Guard District, Western Visayas. Mrs. Gorizeta, in addition to his award, will receive an incentive equivalent to her 1-month salary pay. Congratulations, ma'am.
For having been adjudged as the Lighthouse Keeper of the Year, the plaque of recognition is presented to Lighthouse Keeper 2 Nicanor A. Cloa of Coast Guard District Central Visayas. Mr. Cloa will also receive an incentive equivalent to his 1-month salary pay.
Unit awards. At this point, we will now proceed to the conferment of awards of the Coast Guard Station of the Year, Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie, and the Substation of the Year. The classification of these units is based on the volume of maritime traffic in their respective regions. The PCG has 12 regional districts, 72 stations, and 180 substations situated in the different coastal regions nationwide. They are the frontliners in the field performing the mandates of the Philippine Coast Guard.
For having been adjudged as the Coast Guard Station Class Alpha of the Year, the plaque of recognition is hereby given to Coast Guard Station Manila of the Coast Guard District National Capital Region Central Luzon. Receiving the award is the Acting Station Commander of Coast Guard Station Manila, Captain Rodolfo S. Villo, 1, Philippine Coast Guard.
For having been adjudged as the Coast Guard Station Class Bravo of the Year, the plaque of recognition is hereby given to Coast Guard Station San Fernando of the Coast Guard District Northwestern Luzon. Receiving the award is Station Commander of the Coast Guard Station San Fernando, Captain Arturo Alamani, Philippine Coast Guard.
For having been adjudged as the Coast Guard Station Class Charlie of the Year, the plaque of recognition is hereby given to Coast Guard Station Sual of Coast Guard District Northwestern Luzon. Receiving the award is the Station Commander of Coast Guard Station Sual, Lieutenant Alexander P. Corpuz, Philippine Coast Guard. For having been adjudged as the Coast Guard Substation of the Year, the plaque of recognition is hereby given to Coast Guard Substation Del Pan under Coast Guard Station Pasig of the Coast Guard District National Capital Region Central Luzon. Receiving the award is the Coast Guard Substation Commander of Coast Guard Substation Del Pan, Petty Officer First Class Glicerio C. Dar, Philippine Coast Guard.
As a seagoing agency, the PCG relies on its surface assets to accomplish its mission. At present, PCG has 10 capital ships, 31 small crafts, and 400 small boats. In addition, PCG personnel man and operate 10 30-meter surveillance vessels of the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources. They are strategically dispersed over a wide maritime area to maximize presence. This year's high-performing assets are the following.
For having been adjudged as the Coast Guard Category 3 Vessel of the Year, the plaque of recognition is hereby given to BRP San Juan Search and Rescue Vessel 001. Receiving the award is the Commanding Officer of BRP San Juan SARV 001, Commander Eduardo P. De Luna Jr., Philippine Coast Guard. BRP San Juan is currently deployed in northern Mindanao, assisting the Department of Environment and Natural Resources in its environmental law enforcement activities in the area.
For having been adjudged as the Coast Guard Category 2 Vessel of the Year, the plaque of recognition is hereby given to Barko ng Republika ng Pilipinas, Ilocos Norte, Search and Rescue Vessel 3501. Receiving the award is the Commanding Officer of BRP Ilocos Norte, Commander Angel Z. Biliran, Philippine Coast Guard. BRP Ilocos Norte is currently deployed in Davao to support the efforts of the government in maintaining peace and order in the area.
For having been adjudged as the Coast Guard Category 1 Vessel of the Year, the plaque of recognition is hereby given to Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, Monitoring, Control and Surveillance 3007. Receiving the award is the Commanding Officer of BFAR MCS 3007, Captain Charlie Q. Rances, Philippine Coast Guard. MCS 3007 is presently deployed in Bajo de Masinloc.
For having been adjudged as the best small craft of the year, the plaque of recognition is hereby given to Diesel Fast 347. Receiving the award is the boat captain of DF 347, Petty Officer First Class Richie S. Agudelo.
Over the years, the PCG has been working hand in hand with its worthy partners, the Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary. Considered as the force multiplier of the PCG, the auxiliary has ably assisted us in promoting sea safety, safeguard the
gesture to recognize this volunteer organization for their devotion to duty. Plaque of appreciation is hereby presented to the Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary. Accepting the award is the PCGA National Director, Vice Admiral Valentin B. Prieto Jr.
The Coast Guard Sagip Buhay Award. The Sagip Buhay Award is given to individual or entity who conducted rescue operation at sea, resulting in the successful rescue of lives. For the successful conduct of rescue operation to 3 Filipino fishermen on board fishing bangka Roshin Nicole J. Mark that capsized at 152 nautical miles southeast of Cape San Agustin, Davao del Norte on August 4, 2016, a plaque of recognition is hereby given to LNG Maleo. Receiving the award is Captain Nobuyuki Miyochisuke, Master of NLG Moleo.
For successfully rescuing 7 crew of fishing bangka RV-1 that sank at vicinity waters of Polillo Island, Atimonan, Quezon on June 4, 2016. A plaque of appreciation is hereby given to Fishing Bangka Super R. Receiving the award is Captain Jomar Egay, skipper of FB Super R.
For rescuing 5 fishermen on board fishing boat JYL that sank at vicinity waters of Infanta, Pangasinan on March 3, 2016. A plaque of appreciation is hereby given to Fishing Bangka EJ. Receiving the award is Mrs. Emma Sanggolian, wife of the awardee, Mr. Nolio Sanggolian, the operator of FB EJ.
For conducting rescue operation to the 8 passengers and 5 crew on board Motor Bangka Steven that encountered engine trouble at vicinity waters of Canaron Island, Linapacan, Palawan on February 27, 2016. A plaque of appreciation is hereby given to FV Chris Paul Bill. Receiving the award is Mr. Paul, President of Irma Fishing Corporation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Rear Admiral Melad, sir. Once again, may we request all our awardees to please stand. Ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished awardees for this year, founding anniversary. Palakpakan ho natin sila. For a job well done. Thank you, sir. To introduce our President, the Commandant of the Philippine Coast Guard, Rear Admiral William M. Melad.
Ladies and gentlemen, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Thank you. Kindly sit now. Ambassador Ishikawa, the Ambassador of Japan to the Philippines, Representative Cesar V. Sarmiento, Chairman of the House Committee on Transport. Yes, sir. Rear Admiral William Melad, Commandant, Philippine Coast Guard. Distinguished guests, fellow workers in government, my fellow countrymen. Let me start by giving our sense of gratitude to the Japanese Ambassador Ishikawa for our heartfelt thanks for giving us the ships. Some are here, others are coming, and your desire to help the Philippines. Sir, Ambassador, we have a long history of friendship and cooperation. As a matter of fact, Japan is one of the biggest contributors to the assistance of the Filipino people. And in my city alone, the JICA projects are abundant, and it has redound to the benefit of my countrymen over in Mindanao. And now I'm the president, and you continue to pour the aid that you feel you want to extend to us. And again, I would like to thank Japanese people, your emperor, and your government. We need the ships. If you count the number of islands of about 7,000 plus, that would count to so many great miles of coastlines. It is not enough, but at least we have the ships to begin with. The old ones, plus the new one that has been delivered to us, would greatly help us in this endeavor. Our main focus now is terrorism, human trafficking, and drugs. But on my notes here, I would like to stress to you now that our main focus is the drug problem. Why? Because it will destroy our country. Why? If we do not interdict the present problem now, considering the magnitude and widespread contamination of the people of the Philippines, it will result someday maybe in a failed state. Alam mo ninyo, during the time of General Santiago, that was about 2-3 years ago, he gave us the figure of 3 million addicted Filipinos. Yun sa panahon niya. Yung akin, we did not know the dimension of that problem. I know that Davao was also hit. I know that Davao was the favorite focus of the human rights, and I do not blame them for the alleged extrajudicial killing because of the number of people killed. You know, once upon a time, I was a prosecutor. And I've had a lot of heartaches, cases dismissed for so many and varied reasons. One is that the evidence that reaches the court is not really the one that was confiscated on the ground. There were a lot of substitutions, a lot of corruption going on. I could only suffer in silence. I swallowed all of those misgivings, and I said someday I might be able to do something more. So I was the favorite whipping boy when I became mayor because I was really very strict. Now, what's the reason why mas marami ang patay sa Davao kaysa ibang lugar? Well, for one, having known the travails of law enforcement, I was quite aware of the attendant problems and travails of a law enforcer. Ang police lang one, if there is a case filed against him, he has to go to the Polcom to answer. He has to go to the internal affairs to answer for. It's one crime. He has to worry about the ombudsman And he has to worry about the human rights. Hindi malaman ng pulis, mabubuwang, hindi lang ninyo alam, the guy there outside, that once a case is filed against him, except for the officers, automatically they are suspended. Pati yung mga officer, but on a long term, 2 years, pag wala nangyari yung kaso, they are restored. But itong policeman, hindi. Then on that day, with an entry fee in the police, anywhere, with only 14,000, how do you think the human being will survive? Suspended ka agad yan. On that day, wala na yung pagkain sa opisina and even the small few things of financing the trip of the children to and fro from the school. Kaya doon sa akin, if you really want to know, if a policeman or a military man for that matter, or a government security, for as long as he followed yung trabaho niya, he will have my support. And they had my support. And I supply the money take home if they are suspended. I see to it that they have 1 sack of rice to eat every month. I give them almost a grocery para may ulam. So to complete the meal. And I take care of the lawyers and everything. So why do I get in return? I get the security forces working for me efficiently. And because they are industrious, they have more to encounter, and eventually, the more cases filed against them. But in my 22 years as mayor, I have never allowed a military man, a policeman, the security forces to go to jail because they were doing their duty. Never allowed it. I fought all the way up, tooth and nail. There was a time 27 police officers were recommended for dismissal. I raised hell. And I said I would never allow it, even if I have to. Or might as well ask them to join me and go to the mountains and fight government. If that is how things turn out to be with all our good intentions. Now, with the Coast Guard having the ships, well, number one is maritime safety, then rescue, then protection, and our intervention or interdiction sa drugs. Let me just explain to you my longing desire. I am a Filipino. I do not claim greatness. I do not have the credentials even. I graduated on a 75, 76, 75 level of grades. Barely enough to climb. All of the cabinet members that you see now are my friends, my fraternity brothers, and people from Davao whom I know. I could not have selected my cabinet from here, and that was the criticism, magkaibigan, friends, magkainuman, drinking partners. But for the life of me, I have a serious problem, and I cannot drink anymore. I do not go out. After work, I go back to my bedroom and start on state papers. Ngayon dito, why? What's the passion? It's because I have to defend the lives of the people. Not only the criminals who created them, not only the drugs who financed them, but the civilians who were killed along the way. And because most of them do not have money, if you go out in the streets at night, there were a lot of hold-ups, were a lot of rapes. They just pull you in one dark corner and they would just ravish the women. The, the, the human rights starts to harp on, even the human rights, on said the culture of violence. My God, be honest to yourself. The culture of violence started when the drug problem was allowed to go astray all these years. Nobody was doing about it, except in Davao, because I was very strict, and the police and the security forces had my backing. And so there were a lot of encounters, and therefore a lot died. And I was the favorite weeping boy of the human rights for simply out of the numbers. And I said, because people are working, and because I support them, and I defend them. If all of these things were done, killing people in the line of duty, and one thing is fundamental for all, the military, the police, and the security forces, and even the security guards, assisting in the arrest of people, the private security. I told everybody when I became the president, go out and hunt for them. Arrest them. Announce your authority if there is still time to do it, and place him under arrest and tell them that he is being placed under the custody of the law. And if he does not submit, it's the criminals, it's the police. Your duty is to arrest. And if there is a resistance, you have to overcome the resistance to bring him to the court of justice if there is a warrant for his arrest. And if there is none, and you catch him selling shabu, committing a crime in your presence, or about to commit a crime in your presence, or has in fact committed a crime in your presence, you do not need a warrant. Just go ahead and announce your authority and bring him. Now, if he presents a resistance, a violent one, and if you think that he is armed with a lethal weapon, and you will die, then may God shoot him dead. That was my order. And need not repeat every time I say, go out and hunt for them. Because you guys, you have the basic 2 years training about criminal law, criminal evidence, and all of those things. And as a matter of fact, when I graduated, when I passed the bar, I got married very early. I had to work as a professor in the police academy in southern Mindanao, which is in Davao. I taught criminal law, criminal evidence, and criminal procedure. But all of those things are already imbued in the minds of the people. No need for me really to lecture everything. But the sheer number given by General Santiago of PDEA of 3 million. When I was in Laos, I had a chance to have a talk with, and during my state visit, with President Widodo. And I asked him, Mr. President, how many addicts are there in your country? And he said, you would not believe it, but it's 4 million. And I looked at the heavens and said, well, the last survey, or at least the census or the data given to us by General Santiago was 3. Let alone during my time, it was about 700, then slowly it climbed to 8, 9, and by the year ends, I would have about also 1 million additional addicts. So, if you compare Indonesia, which is a big, two great islands, of 3 maybe, with 460 million, with 4 million addicts. Now compare it to my country. A very small one, 7,000 islands, I said, from apart. And I have to take care of this number. What's the solution? Kill them all? You cannot build a nation over the bones of your countrymen. That is for sure. But what about this problem now of drugs? Well, had I not been elected president, nobody would have known the sheer number of our problem. Why? Because even during the past administrations, there were the military aides, generals and all, who were the aides of the politicians, who were the candidates lining for the presidency. I said, had I not been the elected president and started to squeeze everybody, we know now the number, the sheer number of 4 million. Now, when I started my campaign in Davao and during the presidency, I said, do not destroy my country. We are short of everything and we can hardly cope up. Do not ever tinker with the interest of my country because I will kill you. And I made a second statement. Do not destroy the youth of the land. Because if I do not do anything, I would have compromised the next generation. We are short of funds. Or critic, every one of them, every country, would just say, oh, Mr. Duterte, why don't you just build rehab houses and treat them? Fine, that's good. I like it. The problem is they should know because they are running a government similar to ours. And you know what country it is. Very similar, including the Constitution. That I am operating on a budget that I inherited from my predecessor. And remember that this budget that I am operating now was prepared the other year to be implemented this year, and the budget next year is being prepared by us for next year's implementation. There was no money. I could not get the money from the armed forces and transfer it to the Department of Health. I cannot do that. It is not allowed. It would be like robbing Peter to pay Paul. It ain't allowed. So I had just to sunder helpless. But with all the going on, in the past administration, the culture of violence was already there. Please take note of the statistics. What the victims then were children raped, family inside the house massacred. Every day. The volume of crime now is just pittance. Dito lang kasi it's only in Manila where there's a lot of fighting. What in the other? Wala na. We are down by 50%. 49 in Mindanao in the crime rate against crimes of person or crimes against property. So we had to work double time. I said, target the big ones. And when they say the big ones, they're sprawled with shorts and dirty shirts. Why? Do you think that they are really... They are the big ones actually selling, They come here, do business in our country, selling everything in sight. And during nighttime, they go to Chinatown and the selling of drugs, the transaction, is always a brisk activity. So we had to act. Why? Because it is a self-preservation thing. The 4 million is not concentrated in one barangay. They are spread throughout the Philippines. And with 4 million into Shabu, what do you think will happen to the next generation? They don't understand it because it is not their concern. Were it for the lives of their citizens, they would have done worse. So, but it's not their problem. They always try to sport about human rights and everything. That human rights issue was against me ever since I became mayor. And you from the Davao, Mindanao, you know that. It was an issue, it was always an issue of women and drugs killing extrajudicial. But I had several wives, and well, my wives, they have left me. I have forgiven them. So that's not an issue anymore. But remember, that issue against me during the last presidential election was a non-issue. You are all witnesses. The never issue came out until the time when I was hitting the ratings up to 32 and stayed there to win the election of 15 million voting for me with a majority of a sheer number of 6 million over my necks. Why? I come from Mindanao. Some of you do not even know where Mindanao is. No offense intended. Why? From the outside, I came in here. I was the only non-persona in the national stage. Where did I get the 15 million and a margin of 6 million? It was in the messaging. One of the greatest victories with that margin of almost 7 million. What was my capital stock? My face, nobody knew me. I was a provinciano. Neither was I an actor ever since. Just an ordinary face there in the streets. What? Money? If you only know. And there were a lot of big businesses who contributed money. I'd like to tell you now. And if you want to know who they are, you ask me after this week. For those who had business with government, never run. I was prepared to lose. For anyway, I was not prepared to win. The political party was a moribund one. It was a local party for all of the elections participated. But I just got into the wagon and used it, and with the little money from the Davaoeños, and for the limited time that I could visit, I did not even have one single governor in Luzon except Jaime Marco. Wala akong barangay captain or neither a councilor nor mayor or congressman. So, what's the message? The message is, I promise them, you guys, no corruption. And it will be a clean government, I assure you. I promise you to end the travails of the drug problem hitting our young population. And I'm doing it, and there are some guys who are killed along the way, and criminality. Economics will come, make the country peaceful, and they will come. Erase corruption, and they will come. Now, why do you think I say that? You go to Davao. You have been to Davao, I'm sure. Well, people can walk there safely without any problem. They go out at night, they're not being mugged or molested. And my orders to the police was, ask your beautiful daughter and your wife to walk the streets at night in Davao City. If they go home or if they come home undisturbed, unbridled by their activity of joy, going around unmolested, then that is the standard I want for my constituency. And just if given enough time, and in the fullness of God's time, we will have it. We will have it. I will force the issue against the Filipino people. Ito ang sundin natin. No corruption. So I ask that every cabinet member or guys now in government, for all of us, not even a whisper like Caesar's wife. You must be beyond whisper. Because then, we lose our friendships. I got all of my friends there because I have trust in them. But I said the only thing that I asked them, no corruption. Now, in this back to drugs, I have to do what I have to do. One, it is self-preservation of the race. I have to protect the children. Now, imagine the last previous administration without being specific about the president. Look at the nature of the crimes committed. You have children, 1 year old, 18 months, rape, a mother killed because she was becoming the devil in the house, a son raping a grandmother, and all of these things. Well, crimes against chastity, crimes against all, personal. Now, we get several murders. But remember that when I started this campaign, there are policemen, remember, I started by firing several police generals. I warned them to resign before I'd be sworn to. Remember that they were also playing. They remember that there are many policemen now in the wanted list, and they are appropriately called ninja, the group. This is the warning that I give you. This is shutting out of time. Be careful. And I said to you guys, kayong mga security, the army, the police, hindi ito kaya ng isang tao. If I go out suddenly, or suddenly I disappear from the scene of the presidency, if the problem would outlast me, please take care of this problem, because I think no president, and even me, can solve it without your help. Now, whoever succeeds me, it's your take. But you have to do what me. Sisirain talaga ang bayan natin. Believe me. Sisirain. Then you should read Ion Grillius sa libro na ano. This is a book which I have distributed to the officers' corps, but I do not think I had a chance to visit here before. It's Ion Grillo. It says Gangson. This is actually the history of Escobar. And if you have read all the Narcos, this is the way the South American countries failed and fell one by one. It is really in non-fiction, and it's all there for you to read. Exactly the same. May I end? I said, be careful that there are about 5,000 barangay captains in my list. Nagdadalawang isip ako, I'm trying to facilitate whether to release it or not. For simply, if you will read it, you will be discouraged. You will be downhearted. Because these guys are elected by the people in an election which is supposed to take place next month. I pleaded to Congress, call off the elections, because this guy would still try. They have the money. And what is really worse is there are policemen, 6,000 of them. And I cannot even announce them anymore. I would not have the time to announce their names individually. So what I would like to know is also whether the Justice Department, because there are prosecutors in that also corrupt. And I will just send the list to the DILG, local government secretaries. Hindi ko na kaya kasi if I read it, tapos magkapatayan, if I read all the names and they would start to cleanse themselves among themselves to prevent, being drawn into the vortex of the shabu, mahirapan tayo. But we are placing our children in danger. If you think that it cannot be solved by the civilians, then I'm telling you now, solve it for yourself. For after all, you are mandated by the Constitution to preserve the country, which means to say the youth, the future Filipinos. Save them, do your work, and prevent the erosion of the integrity of our country. Wala talaga. Hindi ko nga. If I cannot do it, nobody can. You know me, you know the rest of those who ran during the last election. You know their character. You know their, the limits of their persona. If I cannot do it, then give them 1,000 years. They cannot do it. That's why I'm warning you. I'm not asking you to do anything drastic or extraordinary. I'm just asking you to sleep on it very carefully because the portals of the national government has been opened and narco-politics has crept in. Dilemma. Do not delude yourself about her kneeling down. I warned her 8 months ago. Now, before the election, I was summoned by the Senate. There was rice smuggling. And in the course of the Senate hearing, Mr. Enrile, the senator, asked me, if you find Bangayan smuggling rice in your city, what will you do? And I said, Mr. Senator, this guy is robbing us of 7 billion a year of taxes. If I find him in Davao City, I'll kill him for 7 million. Then Jingo Estraga, the Evers is listening now, I think it's live, the smart elect, and he would just also say, ano yon? What's that? What did you say? And he was winking his left eye. And said, Mr. Senator, I'll give you an answer you want to hear. Papatayin ko yan pag nakita ko sa Davao. He has done so harm. 7 billion is 7 billion. Now, I'll give you a computation. I'll close my talks with you. There are estimated 3. Wag na yung akin. Leave out the thing. That we'll have to sort out mine. Until now, I'm trying to validate, revalidate, and validate, and so that I'd be fair to everybody. The latest is from the military to the police to the PDEA, the drug enforcement. Then I again insisted it goes back to a civilian agency, DILG. Said, validate it, review it before I finally give it to somebody else's possession. Sabi ko sa kanila. Now, the national has already opened to narco-politics. I do not think that it would be good to have the elections sa barangay captain. I do not even think that just a few months away, we will have again the local elections. Since I really do not know. Maybe that's what I said. If you do not want me, because there are people who want me to oust me, starting from a country outside. The only thing that they could do is criticize without even looking for the truth. Here is yung newspaper mo, ma'am. Yung newspaper. If you are a friend, if you are an ally, if you are joined by a Western alliance, you should do this. It's a dormitory, apartment, back houses, and they have built it for us. Nihinoha, no announcement, and it would house 1,600. I ordered the military to open up the military camps because it is only the military, the agency, which has so many big tracts of lands. And I ordered them to open up spaces para ilagay ito. This is now in Fort Magsaysay. It will be completed by October 15. We'll have the opening. This is how you treat your friends. You do not go about reprimanding. When I was mayor, said I was the favorite whipping boy. Good. You know, but these idiots, they have not realized that I'm already the president. And if there's an issue about human rights, since we are all members of the United Nations, you go there and ventilate the issue. And maybe ask one of the commissions there, organic bodies, WTO, WHO, or the Human Rights Commission, to send a rapporteur, which is really an investigator. Investigate him. Then make a report back to the body. Or maybe to the Security Council, and they can have the recommendations. If they want me investigated, fine. So I invited them because they seem to be, I don't know, but they're in a limbo because I challenged them. And I said, I wrote them a letter. The United States, Obama, the human rights, the EU, come to the Philippines and investigate me. It shall be open to the public. Ask me any question under the sun. The only thing that I ask of you is to afford me the right to be heard. And then allow me some questions so that I would know that you are not heaping lies on me based on the report of the... I said it was a political issue in Davao every election. Now, when I ran for the president, I said it was a non-issue to me until after I was hitting the rating. And so, some people from the State Department, then from the UN, started to say, and threatening, you know, it's about time that we change the rules here. Human rights threatening me with the International Court of Justice case. Must be stupid. You know, the crime that they are accusing me must be a crime in my own country. There is no crime at all in our law books, in our criminal code, which says that the president cannot threaten criminals by saying, go out of my city because I will kill you. There is no crime at all of that nature. When I say that do not destroy the children of my country or else I will kill you, there is no crime in our revised or the original statutes of our criminal system. But that is the reason why I do not, I gave them the best of my epithets, my slur and curses. For asking acting too stupid and bringing me into the public international scene, and on my shoulders the Filipino people. Because it would put the Filipinos in shame everywhere when you do that. And that is why I'm the guy, if I don't respect you anymore, be prepared for the worst. Because I can give you gallons of epithets, curses, but look at this guy when when I said, I will repeat it. Putang ina ngayon. The translation of that in our Filipino diction, even to pronounce it, and grammar, that thing says, son of a bitch, and the ladies would pronounce it, salamagan. But we have never used the word son of a whore. It is the invention of the press and the people there up there. People judge best when they condemn. Ganon yan. Especially if they want for condemnation, they are good at it. Well, I said, I am thankful because I insist that we realign. That there will be no more exercises next year. Do not prepare, I told the Defense Secretary Lorenzana, do not make preparations for next year's. I do not want it anymore. And I will chart an independent foreign policy. We will not break our alliances, the U.S. RP. But we need not really, break or abrogate existing treaties. Because they say that it would provide us with the umbrella. I ask you frankly, give me your answer from your heart. We will maintain our military alliance because they say that we need it for our defense. Should World War III comes to a fore upon the civilization, do you think you still have time to discuss Third World War? When all the ICBMs, when all the Poseidons underneath the sea are, where will we be? See you in heaven. Salamat po. How I gave this to one of guys? Kung sinong wala nito? From this up. Yes, sir, you can have it. Read it and you will find your country almost there. Really.
Thank you, President Duterte, sir. May we, before we finally end, sir, with your indulgence, we will request the President to please remain at the stage because this is our anniversary. We'd like to request some photo opportunity, sir, for our personnel. I'd like to request the awardees to please join the President. The audience may sit for a while, sir. Thank you. Samantalayin na namin to for the PCG personnel, sirs. Second batch would be the Commandant, PCG, and the other flag officers, sir. Please be ready.
Para sa pagbabago, sawa na ang bayan ko.
The PCG senior officers, the third group, please be ready.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I am losing 2 policemen a day in the fight against criminality. Every day I go out of my office to, even how far it is. I've been to every place, even if and I ordered the presidential plane, the jet plane, to be converted into an air ambulance. I'll take care of myself. But I need to, the AFP got about 5 billion new equipments in your hospitals. I want to protect you. I said, the reason why I invited them is, they should also look into the records how many soldiers and policemen were killed in this campaign. If it's just a matter of extrajudicial killing, I would not have lost any single one. All you have to do is just ask them to kneel down and shot them at the back. We're not doing it. I said, I'm losing on the average 2 policemen a day. So just that you would be informed about these things.
Thank you, awardees. Next batch, please.
Mamuno para sa pagbabago. Sawa na ang
Thank you, awardees. Thank you.
bayan ko sa magnanakaw na tao.
The PCG flag officers, please.
Madilim na kahapon, ikaw ang mataahon.
Then we have the PCG senior officers. Please stand
Sa
by.
piling mo, di ko mawawala ang korupsyon. Tayo na, Pilipinas, tayo na magbago. Hawak kamay tayo para sa pagkasenso. Ikaw at ako,
Thank you. Next batch,
tayong
PCG senior
lahat
officers. We
kayo
request the PCG civilian employees
Duterte para sa
stand by, please.
pagbabago. Masdan mo ang paligid, alamak mga krimen, rape, droga at mga nakawan, dapat nang mapigilan.
PCG officers wipe. Stand by, please.
Pilipinas, tayo na magbago. Hawak kamay tayo para sa pagkasenso.
Thank you. Thank you, sirs.
Ikaw at ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo Duterte para sa tunay
Civilian
na
employees.
pagbabago.
Why am I here? I am here because I love my country and I love the people of the Philippines.
Ikaw at ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo Duterte para sa tunay na pagbabago.
PCG officers wives. PCGA. Next. Isa na lang ho. After PCGA. Thank you. Please exit on the right. Thank you. Please exit on the right, please.
Ikaw ang mamuno para sa pagbabago. Sawa na ang bayan ko sa magnanakaw na tao. Madilim na kahapon, ikaw ang mataahon. Sa piling mo, di ko mawawala ang korupsyon.
Thank you, ladies. Please exit on the right.
Tayo na magbago.
Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary.
Hawak kamay tayo.
Thank you, ladies.
Sa pagkasenso. Ikaw at ako. Tayong lahat kay Rodrigo.
Thank you, ladies, please.
Verde para sa tunay na pagbabago. Masdan mo ang paligid. Alamak mga krimen. Rape, droga at mga nakawan. Dapat nang
We have the female members of Battalion Honor Guard. Batch 1. Thank you, Coast Guard Auxiliary.
Pilipinas, tayo na magbago. Hawak kamay tayo.
Okay, thank you. Batch 1.
Ikaw at ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo. Duterte, para sa tunay na pagbabago.
Why am I here? I am here because I love my country and I love the people of the Philippines.
Ikaw at ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo. Duterte, para sa
Thank you.
pagbabago.
Meron pa, sir. Second batch.
Ikaw ang mamuno para sa pagbabago. Sawa na
Bankmates and company mates
bayan ko
and squad mates.
sa magnanakaw na trapo. Madilim na kahapon, ikaw ang mataahon. Sa piling mo, di ko mawawala ang korupsyon. Tayo na, Pilipinas, tayo na magbago.
Thank you very much, sir.
Hawak kamay
Thank you, sir. The
tayo
Philippine Coast Guard is honored.
para sa pagkasenso.
Former Commandant of the Philippine Coast Guard, sir. Meron pang isa.
Tayong lahat kay Rodrigo. Duterte,
Thank you, sir.
para sa tunay na pagbabago.
Sir, former commandants of the Philippine Coast Guard.
Masdan mo ang paligid. alamak mga krimen, rape, droga at mga nakawat, dapat nang mapigilan. Tayo na, Pilipinas, tayo na magbago. Hawak kamay tayo para sa pagkasenso.
Thank you, sir. May we invite the President to tour the BRP to Bataha,
Bawat ako, tayong lahat.
together with the Commandant, Philippine Coast Guard, Representative
Para sa
Cesar Sarmiento, Cesar Sanrique Sandoval, sir,
Why am I here? I am here because I love my country.
and other
I love
distinguished
the people
guests.
of the Philippines.
bawat ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo. Together, para sa tunay na pagbabago. Ikaw ang Pangulo.
Pag nag-abort, direct. Ha? Puti. Oo nga. Ito, direct. Ano muna? Pag ano dito. Ayan, pitik. Ayaw, ayan. Oh, ayan. Ambassador na. Ambassador na Japan.
Makita loob. Hindi pa nakita loob.
Ikaw ang Pangulo para sa pagbabago. Sawa na ang bayan ko sa magnanakaw na tao. Madilim na kahapon, ikaw ang mataahon. Sa piling mo, di ko mawawala ang korupsyon. Tayo na, Pilipinas, tayo na magbago. Hawak kamay tayo para sa pag-asenso. Ikaw at ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo Duterte, para sa tunay na pagbabago. Masdan mo ang paligid, alamak mga krimen, rape, droga at mga nakawan, dapat nang mapigilan. Tayo na, Pilipinas, tayo na magbago. Hawak kamay tayo para sa pag-asenso. Ikaw at ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo Duterte, para sa tunay na pagbabago.
Why am I here? I am here because I love my country and I love the people of the Philippines.
Ikaw at ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo Duterte, para sa tunay na pagbabago. Ikaw ang Pangulo para sa pagbabago. Sawa na ang bayan ko sa magnanakaw na tao. Madilim na kahapon, ikaw ang mataahon. Sa piling mo, di ko mawawala ang korupsyon. Tayo na, Pilipinas, tayo na magbago. Hawak kamay tayo para sa pag-asenso. Ikaw at ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo Duterte, para sa tunay na pagbabago.
You pray.
Hey, check. Hey. Hey, check. Yes, sir. Sigurado pumapwesto na. Guide ng ano, sir? Remote na yun, sir. Sagad na. Oo, sagad. Saan, sir, galing?
Tayo na, Pilipinas. Tayo na magbago. Hawat kamay tayo para sa pag-asenso. Ikaw at ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo Duterte, para sa tunay na pagbabago. Masdan mo ang paligid, alamak mga krimen, rape, droga at mga nakawan, dapat nang mapigilan. Tayo na, Pilipinas. Tayo na magbago. Hawat kamay tayo para sa pag-asenso. Ikaw at ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo Duterte, para sa tunay na pagbabago.
Why am I here? I am here because I love my country and I love the people of the Philippines.
Ikaw at ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo Duterte, para sa tunay na pagbabago. Ikaw ang mamuno para sa pagbabago. Sawa na ang bayan ko sa magnanakaw na tao. Madilim na kahapon, ikaw ang mag-aahon. Sa piling mo, di ko mawawala ang korupsyon. Tayo na, Pilipinas, tayo na magbago. Hawak kamay tayo para sa pag-asenso. Ikaw at ako, tayong lahat kay Rodrigo Duterte, para sa tunay na pagbabago. Masdan mo ang paligid, alamak mga krimen, rape, droga at mga nakawan, dapat nang mapigilan. Tayo na, Pilipinas, tayo na magbago. Hawak kamay tayo para sa pag-asenso. Ikaw at ako,